Hello, guys. So today we're going to be doing section 5.2 of IB Business Management. So let's begin. So this is about production. Basically, this section, they usually ask you more about the advantages, disadvantages, and the definitions. And they usually can ask you a 10 marker about whether you should pick like which type is good for the business. Because again, you have to remember in IB Business Management, it's about content and context. You have both. So let us begin with section 5.2. So first, our terminology. What do we have? We have job production. So what is job production? Job production is the production of a special one-off product made to a specific customer. So it emphasizes on three things. I like to give it the acronym QUO, just because it's quality, uniqueness, and originality, because not everyone has this product. This product is made specifically for that customer. So it really needs to stand out in its quality, because it needs to really be long lasting, be durable. It needs to be unique because again, it's customized for the preferences of the client specifically, and needs to be original because it really is it's expensive. It's quite expensive. So it needs to have some creativity. It needs to have an element of creativity, an element of time, where it takes really so much time to design this product, because it needs to be like quite a reason for the customer to pay such a high price. Which is basically producers can charge premium prices. So premium prices are basically high prices. And production is market oriented, where the customer decides exactly what the product is. Okay, so if you don't remember, but market oriented is technically a terminology. It's a key terminology. It's in section 4.1 of marketing. So that's unit of marketing. So basically, market oriented is when the product is designed, it's designed based on the needs and wants of the market, instead of being focused on the product itself, and the creativity of the product is designed for the customer specifically, for the market specifically. Okay, so because especially when it comes to job production is literally specifically what the customer wants. So if you want to make really your life easier, it's just customization. But in the IB Business Management syllabus, you have to know it as job production. But if you want to just understand what it is customization. So the advantages of job production is that the markup is likely to be high, because again, um, because producers charge premium or expensive prices. Okay, so this is why. And so basically, it probably like the amount it costs them is going to be significantly less than the amount it sells it for, because they're specifically making it for a specific customer, and it has the QUO, which is quality, uniqueness, and originality, which gives the customer like an incentive and a reason to buy products for high prices, which are customized or job produced. They were produced through job production. And customers get exactly what they want because it's literally made for them. The production process is likely to motivate workers working on an individual process. Okay, so as well, since this worker will like have different types of jobs, because again, job production is made specifically for each customer, right? So a business which uses job production will assign its employees different projects, different products to produce, different products to design, create. So this will actually like make the job of the employee quite unique. It'll make it quite different. It's not the same routine over and over again. So the employee will actually enjoy for a bit. It won't be very like robotic like, whereas other types of production are quite robotic like. It can be flexible as well. The disadvantages is that this production method can be expensive. Okay, why? Because it requires skilled workers. Again, because it's such a like unique and original thing to do, the workers that are really doing like working on these like production processes and making these products and designing them and creating them, they really have to have a specific design expertise. They have to have credentials, they have to have experience. So they're quite expensive. Their salaries are quite higher than other job production, because not everyone can do this job. Okay. And the non-standardized material, again, because this like job production, it emphasizes on quality, right? So it needs to really have the best top-notch material made, especially when the customer is producing it. They might require really unique materials as well, materials that are hard to get, materials that are they need pre-ordering. So it's really, it's really detailed. It's likely to be time consuming since there is much more consultation with the client rather than other production methods. Because, like we said, an advantage is that the customer can get exactly what they want, right? But disadvantage is that they really have to consult with the client, and it's time consuming. Okay, so again, it always reverts to two things: time and money. You always need to talk about cost and time, cost and time, cost and time, right? And it's really important as well if you're writing whether you're writing a 4 marker or a 10 marker, but this is especially for the 10 marker, you guys. You have to make sure that you always have an argument and a counter argument, counter argument. And for these 2 points, so I'm gonna just highlight them in blue, I guess. Maybe it'll make things easier for you guys. These two are perfect for each other. So you have the argument, then you have the counter argument. Okay, so the customer does get exactly what they want. So they are completely satisfied because they are getting exactly what they want. But at the same time, they are getting exactly what they want due to the time that the business is spending consulting them. So there's always a cost. There's always an opportunity cost. So you can always also mention that opportunity cost is very important. So opportunity cost. This is actually a term that you should know in IB economics. So if you're an economics student, then you should know that. But if you write that in your essay, then the examiner will be pretty impressed with you. Due to lack of knowledge of the customer, the product might fail, which will reflect badly on the business. Okay, so like we said, the customer isn't a producer. The customer does not understand the nuances behind the production processes. So the requirements sometimes may not align with one another, based on whatever the context is. But this may reflect badly on the business because the end product might not be what the customer envisioned it to be, which can be problematic and can cause conflict. This production method is highly dependent on the skills of the workers and can be very labor intensive. Again, so this requires skillful workers, like we talked about. Um, so, and it's very time consuming. So these two as well, they can be used for good arguments with one another. So one's counter, one's the argument, one's the counter argument, right? So yeah, and you can also use these two as a argument and counter argument. Okay, so it's pretty important. And these two as well might work, right? So these two as well might work. So this is really good. You have to really know how to argue in business management, not business management. Actually, have to know how to argue in all of the humanities, group 3 subjects of IB. So now you have batch production. So it's basically the production of the group of identical products. So basically, it's like, for example, a food company, a company that produces, let's say, frozen pizzas. They produce the exact same pizza for everyone. So this emphasizes on both quality and affordability. So production is market oriented. Again, it's based on what the market wants, what the market desires. Customers are offered customized products but use a range of standardized options. So like I said, for example, the frozen pizza company, they can make some margarita pizzas, they can make some vegetarian pizzas, they can make some, let's say, truffle pizzas. They can make some pineapple pizzas. So you really never know. They can make some vegan pizzas. So they have standardized options. In this case, sorry, needs are taken into account, and customer consultation is replaced with market research. Okay, so you have market research. Again, if you don't know what market research is basically also a term in marketing. So it's in topic 4, but basically it's when the firm just like invests some money and they research what the market wants. So advantages is that businesses can achieve economies of scale. So if you don't know what economies of scale is, it's in section 1.5 of IB Business Management. But basically, economies of scale is when each unit a business produces becomes cheaper once the amount of products they produce increases. Okay, so batch production allows customers more choice than mass production, thus capturing more market share. So here you can just compare and contrast the two. We still didn't talk about mass production, you guys, so don't worry. We will talk about it throughout this video. It may be useful for trading products, especially in trading products. So basically, it's just that you can trade the products in the sense that you can see which ones are doing well, which ones aren't doing the best. You can know which products to stop producing. So basically they discontinue and which products to continue. It may be helpful with unexpected orders. Okay, because since they're kind of standardized, there's like a range of standardized options. They're quite like quick to produce. Disadvantages: businesses maybe need to hold large stocks in case of unexpected orders, which can be costly. So, for example, this is actually, we'll talk about it later, which is like JIT, just in time, and JIC, just in case. So we're gonna talk about this in another section. But if you have your official exam and you're watching this video, then you should know these. But if you're just studying this section, then don't worry about them now. Basically, when they hold, so basically, when a business holds large stocks, why is this costly? Because they are paying rent for whatever storage unit they have. They are paying utilities, electricity, water bills. So that's why it's costly. But at the same time, they may need them in case they have like unexpected orders, in case like their like stuff are in need. So you never know, like their products are in need. So another disadvantage is that businesses may lose production time as machines are recalibrated and retooled. So they're having some downtime. The sizes of the brand, the sorry guys, sizes of the batches depends on the capacity of machinery or labor allocated to them. Okay, so the batch production really depends on how much machinery the business can afford, because again, there's a department of finance in each business. Machinery is costly. A lot of the time, the businesses take loans in order to pay for their machinery. So and also like labor is costly as well. So but they're different. So basically, one is they're like different types of costs, because the machinery, they're like they're way more expensive than labor. Okay, so labor, they pay salaries, machinery, they pay for the actual costs. But they're still both expensive, and they still both are dependent on the finances of a business. Now we are going to talk about mass production, which we previously mentioned. So basically, mass production, it's also called flow production. So if they ask you for flow production, that means mass production. So they're interchangeable. So don't get confused when they ask you for one of the other in the exams. They're both the same thing. So basically, what is it? It's a production of high volume of identical standardized products. It uses a continuous flow of raw materials along an assembly line. So labor is usually unskilled because again, anyone can produce these products. Maybe it's like a company that produces, let's say, chocolates. Its main role, it may be quality control. Setting up this method may be very expensive because again, it's dependent on the machinery, because once these employees are unskilled, they have to really do just simple jobs, like maybe pressing certain buttons in the factory, whether it's just like doing really simple tasks that anyone can do, which is why their salaries are pretty low. And they don't have to really have an education or whatnot. And this is really dependent on machinery. So it's very capital intensive, it usually has a high capacity utilization. Therefore, the product is therefore sold at low end of the market in large quantities, because again, they're producing a lot, they're producing at very high volumes. So excuse me. Advantages is that once the system is set up, it needs little maintenance. Okay. So this is a very like straightforward system. You just buy machinery, you hire labor, and just like begin production. The business can cater for large orders, thereby achieving economies of scale. Again, it's usually like they're producing food. It's very common in the food industry. So they make economies of scale. Again, I explained what economies of scale is. It's when the cost per unit the cost of production per unit decreases as the quantity of production increases. Labor costs may be low as jobs required are relatively unskilled, like I previously mentioned. With fully automated processes, the need for workers is reduced, so their job is minimal. Their job is not very complicated. They don't need to be really skilled workers, because skill is expensive. The more skilled the workers, the more they're gonna be expensive. So disadvantages: setup costs are usually high because again, this is very machine dependent. Machines are expensive. Breakdowns are costly again because of the high capacity utilization. The machines may break down, which is really costly because the machines are costly themselves. The business is dependent on a steady demand for a large segment of the market, again, because they're producing a lot. And when they're producing at a high volume, the cost of the product generally is usually low, right? So because they need to like sell it for no amount, because like for example, a bar of chocolate, what does it sell for? Like $2 per chocolate, let's say. I'm just using a hypothetical example. So they need to sell a large amount in order to make, you know, a really good amount of profit, especially that they're actually paying so much for the machinery. They need to actually have a high amount to break even. So if you don't know what break even yet, it's in section 5.5. I will be explaining this soon. I'll make a really good video on that. I'll like just start making examples and teach you how to do that step by step. But now to focus on this video, yeah, they need to sell a lot in order to cover for their costs because the machinery cost is pretty high. The system is inflexible. So, for example, any drop in demand, the factory may well be left holding a large stock of unwanted products. This is very bad, especially if the products are like they like make it like they're not durable, meaning that they become obsolete or they expire. For example, if it's food, like for example, if it's chocolate, they have expired date, so they end up expiring. And also if it's food, so like I'm really talking about food, but this is like it's really common in the food industry. So basically, the food it needs like it has high electricity bills because it need to be stored like at certain temperatures. Also, they need storage, so the rent costs. So there's many costs involved. The production process may be demotivating for workers who are doing repetitive activities. So it's always the same thing. So it's really demotivating for the employees. Again, always remember you have to have an argument and counter argument, especially if they ask you for a 10 marker or 4 markers, very, very important. So now let's have a comparison table. So you have job production, you have batch, you have mass. So job production, remember, it's just customization, but you have to know the business management terminology, please. This is very, very vital. You have batch, so basically they have like it's like standardized options, and then you have mass, it's like just a whole, like it's like they produce a lot. So the setup here is like a long setup time for job production because they have a new setup for every single job because again it's literally just for the customer that wants it. It's completely customized. It's literally everything the customer wants. Batch production, there's usually a modification, so it's pretty fast. And mass production is very long to set up because again the machinery is expensive and takes time to synchronize the whole process. So cost per unit is very high for job production because it's customized. They're using very high-end material. It emphasizes on creativity, originality, uniqueness. Batch production is medium and mass production is low because again it changes. So here you have pure customization, here you have standardized options, and here you have no options. So the capital machinery, this is flexible depending on the use for job production, depending on what the customer wants, what the business sells. It's really dependent on the context. Batch production is a mixture of machines used, but but it's based on general purpose machinery. And mass production, this can involve large numbers of general purpose machines designed for specific functions, so they're pretty high. For labor, job production really needs highly skilled labor again because it does emphasize on uniqueness, creativity, originality. Batch productions, they're semi-skilled, and workers are very unskilled, minimum training for mass production because again they just need to operate machinery and like do very, very simple tasks that anyone can do. And this is for like the production time. It's very long for job production because they need to like consult with the customer. They need to make the product from scratch, need to get specific ingredients or like raw materials. It's swift for batch production once it's set up, and production is very swift for mass production. Stock, and this involves low quantities of raw materials for job production because again they're producing completely different products for each customer, so it really depends on what the customer wants. For example, let's say I'm going to give you a really good example of job production. Let's say this is a business that like designs gowns, right? Gowns, and like they customize the gowns from scratch, so each customer will want a specific fabric, they'll want a specific color of that fabric, they'll want specific color of the embellishments, whether they're like the dress is embroidered or whatnot. They'll want different measures, so it's completely different. Batch production, they need high quantities of raw material. There will be medium amounts of work in progress and finished stocks. And for mass production, there will be high quantities of material and finished stocks and a low amount of work in progress. Okay, so yeah. And now we're going to go to changing the production method. So once a business has chosen and implemented a particular production method, it can be difficult and costly to change, okay, because they've already set it up. They have a system operating because again, this is operations. So it's gonna be quite complicated and costly to change that. At the very least, this may involve retooling machines. Okay, so it really depends on what you're shifting from. Redeploying human resources and refinancing the new system. Okay, because they have different finances, they're doing different things. They have different types of employees. Human resources are very important because really these different production processes have completely different labor, and we just like went over that now. So the implications are that for changing HR, some workers may be deployed, they may be retrained, or they may even be let go. So deployed means like they're demoted, so they're like their job would like they went from, like, let's say, manager to employee. So human resources need to be managed carefully. Refining the roles and responsibilities of workers and middle managers would require careful planning as well. So it's also like pretty time consuming, because you need to like replace people and put them in different jobs and need to adjust to their jobs. It's quite complicated. Marketing. Distributing channels may be impacted, which may lead to differing response times. Changes in cost of production could be passed on to the customer through price changes, okay? And the customers may be unsatisfied with that. And the image of the business may be altered, since production runs can alter the orientation of the business and the choice of product delivered to the customer. Again, it's going to be really different. Imagine a business goes from customized production to mass production. That's like a huge, huge, huge shift. Or like job production, sorry. But like job production to mass production, it's going to be different completely, because you're going to have a very high-end clientele, and then you're going to have a completely different clientele when you change. So like the business will have a completely different brand image. It will drop from, it'll be like exclusivity, and then it'll be like the complete opposite of exclusivity, because everyone will have access to it. Okay, so now we have finance. So finance is changing the production method will have an impact on stock control, which affects cost. And also, like, when you change HR, this will also affect costs, because it depends what types of workers you have, whether they're highly skilled, whether they don't have any skills. Changes may take time, interrupt current production, and delays in the working capital cycle. And any changes may need financing, whether it's short-term or significant development that they require long-term funding. Okay, so this depends. Factors affecting deciding the most appropriate production method. So how do businesses decide what's the most appropriate production method for them? So they target marketing, whether they want to charge premium prices so they have high-end clientele, or they want to like do it for everyone. So it depends. They want everyone to have access to it. So it depends where, what, how they want to sell it. For example, the business may be producing high volumes of a low-cost product for a large market with a disposable income, okay? With little disposable income. So that might be like food products, generally food products. The state of existing technology, so limits how flexible production can be. The availability of resources, so fixed capital, human capital, and working capital. So again, fixed capital is like the machinery, human capital is the HR they can afford, the labor is skilled, unskilled, whatnot, and the working capital, so the money. For government regulations, for example, a business may not have to meet targets for recycling or waste emissions, or it may have to actually. So it depends on the government regulation, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Some things are legal in some countries, some other things aren't legal, depending on the area. Notes. So an additional note, it's possible to combine production method. The integration of the business production models becomes more efficient. So you can like use different elements and aspects of each one, depending on your business, depending on your business model, depending on your target market, depending on your finances. Again, it depends on one of the four. Okay, guys. So you can always like relate this to like something in like the business departments. So this is, for example, definitely, let's say, finance. Okay, it can also have to do with HR. This can have to do with marketing. So it really depends. So this is it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please comment down below. If you want private tutoring, you can always email me on my email in the description. If you want to continue doing videos like this, you have to like and like comment at least, or subscribe, please. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the explanation, please send me. If you have any like thing to tell me, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye bye.